So our three panelists joining us are Mila, here we go, and Louis, there you are, good. Louis Ferrando and Amanda Tiranve O'Connor. And so we were actually going to do this panel first, but we switched the order. So to start, and I'm Daus. I am the Filipino American Studies professor at the University of Maryland. So to start, why don't you, each of you tell us who you are, what's your name, what you do, and I'm just going to leave that open, sort of what you do. Okay, just answer it the way that you want to answer it. So.
Great. Hi, my name is Mila Turbio-Straupa. I'm kind of a jack of all trades, semi-retired, but my main goal in life, or my passion in life, has been volleyball. And I was the head coach at Georgetown University, and I still work with young girls at the College of Southern Maryland.
I'm Amanda. I have 3 last names because I'm Filipina, Romanian, and I married an Irishman. I am an engineer/analyst during the day, and then at night and on weekends I assume my playwright role, and then I'm also a mom to a little 14-month-old girl, and I'm having another one in December. So,
my name is Luis Florendo, and I am in the food industry through a lot of very different ways. My background is in hotel administration, so that's just a small segment of the food industry. But to me, it shows how food is related to everything and how the whole world is related to food. So I do a lot of work, but invariably it brings me back to food.
Great. So, Mila, why don't we start with you? Could you tell us a little bit about what you learned about the Manila House from your grandmother and some stories?
Yeah, so Rita's already spoke to you about our commemorative plaque, as well as the Manila House, the location. My grandma was, like she mentioned, her name was, I knew her as Grandma, of course, but everyone called her Manang. And actually, Tagalog was not a language that was totally spoken in our home other than my grandmother. As at that time, there was a lot of discrimination back in the 50s and the late 40s that my dad, coming over during World War II, didn't really want us to speak Tagalog. So my grandma was the one that sort of indoctrinated me with knowing all the good words, bad words, the food terminology, and also was the one that introduced me to the Manila House. I was probably 5 or 6 years old at the time when I first visited there and hung out there, actually, because, as Rita said, she managed and was the manang of this Filipino gathering place that I, as a little kid, and my husband asked me today, he said, did people ever sleep there? Well, it wasn't just a social place, but it was a place where mainly Filipino sailors could come and have a place that wasn't going to be, they were not going to be discriminated upon and find a real Filipino cooked meal. So that's my first recollections of that part of it.
Do you have a favorite memory?
Well, as I listened to some of the things that she used to teach me, my favorite memories was my grandma unfortunately had a stroke, and her hand was kind of bent in this position, and every day that I crack an egg, she taught me how to crack an egg with one hand and be able to just knock it and put it in a pot. So that's one of those. At the Manila House itself, one of my most famous memories was just the smell of the food that was there. And it wasn't really a restaurant. It was just a place where, come on in, and as my dad would say to my friends when I was growing up, did you eat? Did you eat? Come on in, did you eat? And Grandma did the same thing. It was like an open arm place. As you saw in some of the slides that Rita presented earlier, there was like a formal room that you would walk into, and then you could smell the Filipino food back in the kitchen. We never ate back in the kitchen. She would bring out the adobo, the pancit, and the sinigang, as was mentioned. But at night, the place would turn into, as you would bust through these 2 giant sliding wooden doors, a gambling hall. And I distinctly remember this white big light, just like you see in those old day movies where the lights down over the round table, smoke is just bellowing out of the doors, and there was my grandma with Filipinos around the table with chips, gambling, and I would sit in her lap, and actually she would hold the cards, she could hold them, but I would get to throw them down. So those were kind of some fun days, and it would be 3 people deep behind, the people that were playing the cards around there. So that's one of my most favorite memories. Another one where we grew up was, I spent my first 3 years in DC in Southeast at 903 G Street. And my grandma it was like a 3-story type townhouse there, the olden type. We lived in one of the rooms, and there were always boarders, people who were first coming over from the Philippines to the United States, just needing a place to, transition from one country to another. But in the backyard, there was my grandma's, and I'll say this, and Patrice mentioned it, she doesn't speak Tagalog, but we sure can say backyard. I've got my